So today we're going to explore oneness, duality, and multidimensionality. We find ourselves suffering in this world. It hurts. It's unsatisfying. So we go hunting for ways to fill that unsatisfied part of our being, do lots of exploring, and eventually we discover that, oh, I want to go home to unity, to oneness. And if we meditate and we learn to hold our being still, someone shows us what silent mind is. We remember and recognize that oneness, that Buddha nature that's always within us. We're like, there's oneness. But we can't hold it usually. So we come back, and then we go through this long phase on the spiritual path of duality. We're either in oneness or we're not. Things are good or bad. We're either happy or sad. And the experience of oneness, even if you just get that little tiny glimpse, it's very disconcerting for the ego, for the body-mind system, because there's no reference point. There's just oneness. And so when we're back in this body-mind system of seemingly separateness, we cling to this notion of duality. And it permeates everything in our society. And there's even a big movement right now, as more and more people are becoming aware. There's a pushback from those that maybe don't want to wake up. Like, no, we need black and white. We need, male or female. We need good or bad. We need this or that. Because when we reduce everything down to simple duality, it gives us a firm place to stand. Say, I'm right and you're wrong. It says, I'm here and you're there. I am this way and you are that way. And it provides this very simplistic way to define the world, but it's very limited at the same time, because we're clinging to this fixed notion, this fixed view, this desire for oneness, but yet here we are, this separate individual, so we can't have it. And that realization creates tremendous suffering. Spiritual pain is the worst pain of all. I've had lots of different types of pain, so I speak from experience. But if we keep practicing our path, this path of Trikaya Buddhism, where we pay attention and keep exploring, that's basically our entire path. Pay attention, keep exploring. What we discover is that we are actually multidimensional. That there's more than just this black and white duality. There's this entire spectrum of reality and non-reality, of existence and non-existence. Some things are blinking in and out of existence. The sun shines on us, and then we step in a shadow, and there's no sun. It's a gradation. And as we keep exploring this concept of multidimensionality, we start to recognize that we ourselves are multidimensional, that we don't exist as a singular fixed identity. If we keep exploring and paying attention, we might notice that when we're around one type of person or in one certain environment, our entire personality configures one way. And then when we're with a different group of people in a different environment, our personality shifts and we become somebody else. If we go into an important business meeting, we get real stiff and tight, and we maybe are extra polite to everyone. And then perhaps we're at a young child's birthday party, and now we're silly and free and playful and can play imaginary basketball without a ball. So we can shift dramatically in all these different situations. And as we start to become aware that we have these different facets, it opens us to the notion that, other people have that too. Maybe the way I was judging somebody isn't quite accurate. Maybe there were some gradations there that I didn't see before. So one of the things that we practice in Trikaya Buddhism is we try to remember that every time we see someone, even if we see them every single day, they are brand new and we are brand new. So we have no idea who each other is at any given moment, because as practitioners on the path, we're aware that we are shifting and changing, and different aspects of our awareness is opening. And we offer that same grace to everyone that we meet. But there's that part of us that feels very uncertain, that uncertainty principle, that does not like that at all. So it reverts back to duality, and we dig out the box of, well, my view is right and their view is wrong. It doesn't matter what it is. We decide that, they had this particular attitude the last time I saw them, so this is who they are. That's who they must be, and that's who they will be forever. And again, that's very limiting for us as we practice, because when we put somebody else in a particular box of duality, they may or may not participate in that box. But we will, because we're the ones that created that box. So now we have limited our experience in that situation by this very basic dualistic view. Now, as we practice, we become very sensitive. So when somebody puts that perception on us, we can feel it. And there's a tendency, a human nature, to want to conform. We see this a lot. I think it was Ram Dass who said that if you're feeling like you've made a lot of spiritual progress, go spend a week with your family. Because they have created certain dualistic viewpoints of who they think you are. And when you encounter them, they will most likely, not always, not every family, but most likely perceive you in that way. And that's who you are. And so that pressure, that occult pressure entices us to just conform to that predefined box, and then we have our interactions within that. But if we're strong, if we can practice, what we can do to kind of break that box is remember that, oh, I am not the same person I was 5 minutes ago. So how could you possibly be the same person you were 5 minutes ago? And then that opens us to being able to pay attention and explore who that person is in front of us. Even as they're projecting this old imagery, we can see past that old pattern and observe who they are right now in that moment. And when we do that, when we open up that multidimensional view, it's this tremendous gift, because now all of a sudden they don't have to stand in the box anymore either. So you don't step in the box, and you give them the grace to step out of the box if they want to. Again, you can't force them. You can't force anybody to do anything. And that's helpful to remember. Nobody can force you to do anything either. So as we go along and we explore the multidimensionality of our own being, the multidimensionality of other beings that we interact with, then we start to see the multidimensionality of life itself. And that can be very overwhelming. Say, wait a minute, nothing's stable. Everything's moving and changing. And again, the tendency is to freak out and go back to that sense of duality. Where it's like, just tell me where to stand. So I'd like to give you another option. And that is to allow yourself the flexibility and the openness to be groundless. And one of the secrets to being groundless, to not being fixated on standing in a particular view, is to orient our awareness, our attention, towards light. And I know this sounds very, very abstract, so let me see if I can bring it down into this world, this plane. If we are interested in having brilliant and magnificent experiences, which I believe that is what we are here to do, because it's fun. And there's not just one that we have and then we're all done and then it's over. Go into this experience of oneness and then we're all done, because then we wouldn't need a body anymore. We wouldn't have a body. We'd just leave the body and merge into the ether. So what that might look like from somebody in the relative world, it might look like, dropping down dead, I suppose. But bodies can be hard to come by, so why not have fun with them while we have them? So we may dip into this experience of oneness, and then we're back in the relative. And we do this over and over and over again till you, as my teacher put it, you can't tell which foot is which. You got one foot in the ultimate, one foot in the relative, and you don't know which foot is which. which again sounds like duality, but it's not, because they're the same. So again, as you're getting to that point, there's this whole realm of multidimensionality that we have to interact with. We have to figure out how to navigate. So there's this very quiet, very wholesome, very pure awareness. That's oneness. And that is Buddha nature. That is everywhere in everyone. You don't have to do anything to get that. It's not that you're deserving or undeserving. You could be like Milarepa, who killed hundreds of people and still become enlightened. I don't recommend that path. It's very scary, very brutal. But just know that no matter what, this Buddha nature is here. So as we're practicing, our practice becomes one of touching into and cultivating the awareness of that Buddha nature that's ever present. And it can't be described. It can't be put in a box. But you know it. You do. We can talk around it. We can call it the pristine, clear light of reality. We can call it unreasonable joy. We can call it profound, unconditioned peace. But those are all just labels, and then what our mind does is now it creates a state that now we're trying to achieve. And it's not that, because it's already here. It's already there. So in our meditation, we want to still our thoughts and just allow ourselves to feel. And if we can be open, that light, that Buddha nature will bubble up. We'll notice it. We'll become acquainted with it, or start to recognize that it's there. And it's this awareness that we then train ourselves to remain oriented as we experience the infinitude of being, the complete, endless multidimensionality of existence and non-existence. And it's training. It's not something that we just do once and then, oh, I'm all done. It's a practice. We'll do it over and over. And then, of course, there'll be moments where we'll be completely overwhelmed, so we'll shrink back into the safety of duality, where, okay, my foot's here, and this is the right place. And that's the wrong place over there. And that soothes our ego, that gives us a sense of solidity. And when you recognize that's what you've done, then I want to encourage you to let go again and realize, oh, I'm more than this. I'm more than that. I am this entire spectrum in between this and that and beyond. And as we navigate our day-to-day, ordinary, relative existence, we do so with this awareness of the endless multidimensionality, again, not of just ourselves, other beings, but of the entire world. Especially when something upsets us. We see something that part of us that is comfortable in duality says, that's completely wrong. That should not be happening. And we catch ourselves and we recognize, well, this is happening in this very small slice of all of existence. There's all this other stuff, phenomenon, unfolding. There's flowers blooming. There's people and animals being born. There's clouds moving through the sky, creating wondrous formations. There's this whole cycle of water, evaporating into the sky, forming clouds, and then falling as rain and snow, and then pouring down a mountain into a river that then flows into an ocean. So that's all happening simultaneously. And you're upset over this one little aspect, this one little thing. How ridiculous. But it's not trivial. The horrors that we see in this and all the other worlds is not trivial. Don't make that mistake, because now we've just jumped right back into duality, where, oh, I'm safe in my fluffy little cloud where I'm looking from my safe space at all of existence. And it's not touching me, because now we're back. I'm here in my safe space, and out there is the scary space. See how quickly our mind feels the uncertainty of the multidimensionality and then flips right back into duality. So it's tricky. It's complicated, but it's simple at the same time. So as you navigate through this relative world, catch yourself falling into that sense of duality and allow yourself to expand into the multidimensionality. Allow yourself to feel and become comfortable with the uncomfortableness of groundlessness, of not knowing what's going to happen next, of just being open. And know, because you do your practice, that you've orientated yourself towards light. So then as you go through all the different experiences of your life, what your mind will start to filter for you are the bright spots, is the beauty. Or as Mr. Rogers said, when there's tragedy, look for the helpers. Because that reminds us of the light that is our true nature. And then that allows us to start to act in accordance with that. And so as we're interacting with this relative world, we start to let go of the thinking mind that is constantly judging, this is good, this is bad, I'm great, I'm horrible, this shouldn't be happening, oh wait, this is happening. And instead there's this rain that's just falling on onto a mountain, flowing down a river, and out to the ocean. And we are that. And sometimes we crash against the rocks, and there's the experience of crashing against the rocks and then draining back into the river and continuing on. So pay attention. Keep exploring. Many spiritual seekers want to skip over multidimensionality. They just want to keep it simple. They're like, okay, I'm not enlightened, I want to be enlightened. I'm suffering, I want to not suffer. And so they get themselves locked into this notion that, okay, as soon as I have the right meditation, as soon as I meet the right teacher, as soon as I get the just right practice, and I do it, I'll be done. And then what? I'm sorry to burst your bubble if that was your plan. But I hope it saves you from many, many years of suffering. Because the mind is strong, and we can fool ourselves. We can actually trick ourselves into thinking we are done. And now we've created this safe space around us with our energy, and we hold ourselves in a certain way, and we become more and more fixated, and then we surround ourselves with people who will support that fixation, and then we don't grow anymore. But sooner or later, life, who's the real teacher, comes along, and it starts to smash against that bubble that we've created, and we crack open. And then we find ourselves in this magnificent multidimensional reality once again. That sense of confusion and groundlessness. And we then flail about, say, ah! But if we can remember our practice and say, oh, wait, where's the light? Where's Buddha nature? Let me just rest my attention in that, and allow all of my thoughts to come and originate from love. Let every word originate from compassion, and every action flow from a place of wisdom, of knowing that this world is transitory, that there is no done, that there is no fixed, safe space, and there is no fixed, scary space. And then we find ourselves back flowing in the river once again to the ocean. We're there, we reach the ocean and then evaporate once again and continue this beautiful cycle of exploration. And through it all, if we discipline our mind, instead of getting freaked out and forcing ourselves back into that stance of duality, we can instead explore this endless wonder and have these experiences of pure radiance that are just beyond anything that can be described. And we don't even cling to those. We just have them. It's like the ancient analogy of climbing the mountain. We do all this work, we get all the gear, we do all the training, we find the right guides, and we face the elements, and we get all the way to the peak. of the mountain. And we just enjoy that view, that radiance, that clarity. It's like, wow, it's so beautiful. But we don't stay there. Then we come down the mountain, we take that experience with us, it changes us. And then we do it again. We go find another place to explore. Maybe this time we get some scuba gear, and then we learn how to dive, and we go to the depths of the ocean. So wherever life brings you, there's this opportunity to have these moments and experiences of pure radiance. And this is why we practice. This is why we do this path. So I hope you will journey with me into this weird and wonderful world, and keep going until you find yourself not knowing which foot is which. So let's meditate.